Basically, I think he's the best thing on the BBC at the moment, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him tonight.
He's the best and funniest thing about Mock the Week.
I love him on Mock the Week. I think he's brilliant.
I would like to say that I think Frankie Boyle is an incredibly funny man.
He is fucking hilarious.
He's obnoxious and hilarious.
And he's a funny bastard.
I thought if he's good on Mock of the Week, he has to be good live.
He swears a lot. Yeah, and he's Scottish as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the blackest man in show business, Mr. Frankie Boyle!
Well, hello, Hackney. I had a wee look round Hackney today. Looks like a fucking holding pen for the Jeremy Kyle show. How you doing, little fella? You've made a fucking effort. Looks like someone shaved a monkey and kicked it through Top Man. You've gone for it with the hair here, haven't you? You look like a moderately powerful Pokemon. Why is he a giant version of you? It's like fucking Russian dolls there. How you doing, big fella? How's life been since you played Mongo in the Blazing Saddles movie? What'd you do, big man?
IT.
IT. And you said that in a sort of, and my soul is dying every time I sit in front of the computer screen. What about you, Frodo? What's your story? I called you Frodo. Because you look like you've had your ring destroyed. I don't know. What do you do, man?
Photographer.
You're a what?
Photographer.
You're a photographer. You're a trainee paedophile, sir. You got Scottish people? I love that cheer Scottish people do when they think there's a lot more Scottish people in. Yay! Oh, we're surrounded. Where are you from, Scottish people? You sound fucking... Oh, Paisley, he's topped you in shit-town top trunks there. Sorry, we've had a higher bid. What's brought you down from Paisley? A raft made from turnips? Although I quite liked your answer. Drugs. I suspect that's your answer to a lot of questions. What time is it? Drugs! Fife? Who's from Fife?
The Kingdom of Fife.
Whereabouts in Fife you from?
Kirkcaldy.
Kirkcaldy. I have to explain this to them now. Basically, Kirkcaldy, the town's pride took a bit of a knock recently when they found out that the people of Ethiopia were holding a rock concert for them. So what are you doing in London?
Working.
Working, there's a dour Scottish answer. You're just going to bleed the information out gradually, aren't you? A fucking human riddle from Kirkcaldy. My first is in Windmill, but not in Canal. I work, but what do I work at? Guess again. What do you work at?
Consultant.
Consultant. Do you want to go any deeper into the explanation, or are we just...
Management consulting.
Management consulting. What are they managing?
Not very much.
Are they managing to find you quite an annoying cunt? Is that how you've managed to stay in the business so long? Just by giving one-word answers? What should we do about the staff? More? More staff? Maybe. What about you? A hat? Not everyone can carry off a hat in the front row of a comedy club. Why are you in disguise tonight? Is there a particular reason? What do you do for a living?
I'm a fundraiser.
You're a fundraiser for charity?
Yeah.
Rather than just yourself. I'd like you to sponsor me because I'm fucking skint. What's the charity you're raising funds for?
It's for disabled children.
Disabled children. I'm going to have to be pretty good to get any laughs out of that, I used to work as a support worker with the disabled, but then I kind of worked out that if I couldn't get them to wipe their own arse, I was kind of pissing against the wind trying to get them to bake fairy cakes. Is that too much? This will be a long fucking show. How you doing, fella? You gay or do you just like the look? What's your story? What do you do?
Event manager.
You're an event manager. Do you hire shit celebrities for your events? Not that I'm touting for work or anything. Who's the shittest celebrity you've ever hired? Wait, sorry, are we holding a seance here? What the fuck was that? Don't you just keep chipping in as if you're part of something, okay? We're making fun of this guy just now. You see Amy Winehouse in the paper this week? Fucking hell, man. She looks like a campaign poster for neglected horses. She got done for assault, kicked out at some guy that tried to put a saddle on her. Ellen MacArthur, right? How many times is that woman going to have to go round the world before she realises that she's a fucking lesbian? There's lots of celebrities who are straight and you just can't believe it, can you? Like Gareth Gates. The first time I saw him, I thought, that's not a stammer, that's a gagging reflex. Did anyone see that thing the other week where Jordan came out and said that she's only had 10 lovers? Does anyone else think she just ran out of fingers? Anne Widdecombe says that she's a virgin for religious reasons. The reason being that God made her incredibly fucking ugly. Nothing like John Prescott. John Prescott, you're talking about a guy who's so fat he can't wear a belt and a tie on the same day or he'll turn into sausages. There's a difference between being a bulimic and just liking to eat so much that you puke. People give Jamie Oliver a hard time, don't they? I think he's done really well for someone with low-level Down syndrome. The secret ingredient in a lot of those recipes is saliva. We're quite tolerant of fucking mutant celebrities, aren't we? David Coulthard with that big fucking jaw thing. Do you reckon when he goes down on his wife, it feels like she's been rescued by a dolphin? Who's the new racing driver? Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton has a brother who has cerebral palsy. That must be the most one-sided sibling rivalry in history. I won a Grand Prix today. What did you do? I drank from a fucking cup, Lewis, okay? The show doesn't sink any lower than that. Oh no, wait a minute, it does. Quite often. Tell you what I think they should do in Big Brother this year. On eviction night, when someone gets sent out, the people inside, instead of hearing screaming or booing or whatever, they should just hear complete silence and then a single gunshot. Just when they start to think it was all a psychological test, we throw the corpse out of a helicopter into the garden. There's a story after the last Big Brother, wasn't there, that people in India were burning an effigy of Jade Goody. They weren't. It turned out they were barbecuing a pig. Richard Gere sparked a riot in Delhi by kissing Shilpa Shetty. See, if there's a riot in Delhi, how do you know? Millions of people in the street, stuff burning, screaming. Could be a riot, could be a wedding. The result is the same, 800 dead. I like that tour that Prince Charles took Camilla on in India last year. Proper rural India as well. You know that half the people that turned up were going, Diana's really let herself go? Does anyone else think that Camilla is almost exactly what Diana would have looked like if she'd survived the crash? That's not even sick. The sick thing's that memorial fountain they built to her that's shaped like a fucking racetrack. I thought it was sad they had a pop concert to commemorate Diana. I mean, she doesn't have much to do with pop music, does she? They should have done something that celebrated what was really great about her life by staging a gangbang in a minefield. What was the Queen celebrating? Her 60th wedding anniversary? After 60 years as a German married to a Greek, she must have an arse like a broken cat flap. They turned me down for the Royal Variety this year. Do you remember years ago, a guy broke into Buckingham Palace and he said, it's okay, he just sat on the Queen's bed. But it's not like they would have told us if he'd shagged her. You can't really say that on News at 10, can you? Bong, a tramp has fucked the Queen. You've not talked to this side yet. Your faces are going, and please don't. What's this, son? Is this your dad, or is he grooming you? What's the story? What do you do, man?
Work in customer services.
You work in customer services. Is that a polite way of saying call centre? You've got a job they literally couldn't get an Indian to fucking do. And what about you, fella?
White van man.
You're a white van man? You just define yourself by that. By the borrowed fucking van that you drive. And what are you doing with your white van?
Deliver cash and carry food and stuff.
You deliver cash and carry food. That sounds utterly soul-destroying. What do you do to liven things up? At lunchtime, do you stick on a DVD of Steve Davis talking about his favourite carpet samples? It's going to go like that, though. It's going to go van driver, fucking call centre. We're going to get down to him and he'll be like a one-legged juggler who sucked off Prince Philip. What's your story, fella?
I'm a journalist.
You're a journalist? And who are you journaling for?
The FT.
The Financial Times?
That's the one.
The fuck are you doing at one of my shows? This is for scum! What about you, big man? What do you do? Stockbroker, you evil cunt. Do you invest in ethical stocks, or is it largely landmines to Somalia? I actually invest in landmines to Somalia, but I also invest in painkillers and plastic knees. So the Somalians stand in the landmines, but then they take the painkillers, they have their knees replaced. Essentially, I'm giving the Somalians the gift of surprise. What's the most evil thing you've ever traded in?
Weapons.
Weapons? What sort of weapons?
Guns.
Guns? And who did you buy them for? Because do you know what? If it was a bank job, I'll look the other way. Did Mark Thatcher? No. Do you ever think of getting a gun and blowing your own fucking head off? I've got to that stage in Scotland now where people recognise me, but never where from. I got followed by two guys in Glasgow who thought that I was the wee bear from Bo Selecta. Oh yeah, clap it up, fuckers. Hey, wait years for that Proclaimers thing to go away. I used to like that. You look like one of the Proclaimers. One of the Proclaimers? They're twins, you daft cunts. I used to have a big beard, but any time the beard gets to a certain length, people start shouting paedophile at me. I don't know why I was doing that for the paedophile. Why do paedophiles always have beards and glasses? What is it about that look that children find so sexy? Do you remember that stuff last year with the paedophile school teachers? That's got to be creepy. You get your homework back and he's drawn a cock on it. Looking forward to trying to get those jokes onto the next series and Mock the fucking Week. It's always quite funny, actually. You're on telly and you say something you just know it's never going in. I did a show recently where I was on a sofa getting interviewed with Macy Gray, the fucking dream team right there. And the interviewer said, "Have you ever been a groupie?" And Macy Gray, I suppose quite bizarrely, said yes, for the actor Clive Owen and the basketball player Michael Jordan. And the interviewer said, "Well, I hope that was on different nights." And I said, "At the very least, I hope they were at opposite ends." Macy Gray doesn't have a sense of humour. I did a morning cookery show I made a total arse of as well. It was 10 in the morning and it was live. And it was the day of the Glasgow airport attack. And the presenter said, "Oh, you do topical stuff, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, like today, we don't know if that was terrorists or just Richard Hammond turning up late for check-in." Whiskey and eggs for 20 minutes while a studio full of people fucking hated me. Who else have I met? Oh, I met a guy, Duncan Bannatyne from Dragon's Den. Do you know the Scottish guy from Dragon's Den? And he's worth like 100 million or something, right? So I tried to take the piss a bit. And I goes, "Where are you from in Scotland?" And he goes, "Clydebank." So I bet you've not been back to Clydebank since you made your 100 million. And he went, "On the contrary, Frankie, I was there yesterday receiving a Scot of the Year award." What a tremendous fucking cunt he is. Scot of the Year award. Who would you even be competing against? The only award I've ever been nominated for was a Scottish BAFTA. A Scottish BAFTA? It's like hearing that the animals have their own fucking Olympics. I always hate those awards ceremonies celebrities have for brave children. You've probably organised a few of these yourself. I hate it. The celebrities are trying to get publicity for themselves, aren't they? So they'll drag up some wee guy with leukemia or something. They go, "Oh, look at him. Still smiling. Keeps laughing." Of course he keeps laughing. He's off his tits on fucking morphine. You could show him Saving Private Ryan and he'd piss himself. He's had a brilliant night out. He hasn't laughed this much since Schindler's List. By the way, I just noticed the other day, the word cancer is on predictive text. Who the fuck is texting people the news that they've got cancer? I've got cancer. Laugh out loud. I tell you what else is on there. Rape. Who the fuck is using that facility? Better tell my mum that I won't be home for dinner. Sorry, Mum. Gone out raping. I like the way that I mentioned rape and that guy left. I knew I had something to do tonight. You ever heard that thing at women's self-defence classes? They say, don't shout rape, shout fire. Because people will come if it's a fire, but they might be frightened if it's a rape. Must be quite confusing for the rapist. Fire, fire! I'm going as quick as I can here! Hello, a group of fucking wholesome-looking children. How you doing? Specky one, you look like their leader. What do you guys do? Do you all fucking ride around investigating mysteries on your bikes or something? What do you do, little fella? You're at college? Is it a real college or one of these things that used to be a fucking swimming pool? What are you studying?
History.
Maybe history. That's as focused an idea as you have on your college programme. Have you recently discovered marijuana by any chance? Because fucking your pal beside you has definitely discovered marijuana, haven't you, fella? How are you doing? What's life like if you look like a fucking good-looking surfer? Because obviously I've always just dragged myself around like the fucking elephant man. What the fuck is it like? What do you do, man?
So, I'm a student, going to uni.
Ah, right, so it's not all good, is it? You might look beautiful, but you sound like the elephant man.
I'm going to uni at the minute, thank you. I hope you won't touch me on that.
Is the wee one like your mascot or something? Yeah, we got him since our dog died, and to be honest, he's been slightly disappointing, but fuck it. His mum died, so we've got to do something. What do you do, little fella? Tell me your mum's alive. Thank fuck for that. Just your dad that's dead, and fuck him. What's your goal in life, little fella? That is the least ambition I've ever heard in any statement. You took about 3 minutes to say, I don't know. Hopefully one day, Frankie, I can grow gills and walk backwards into the sea. Do you worry about the future, Frodo? You should. You should particularly worry about the next couple of minutes, which I'm going to make quite difficult for you. Do you not worry about young women getting bigger? See, like an 18-year-old girl now can be, what, 6'1", 6'2". See, by the time you're 60, you try to shag an 18-year-old girl, it'll be like a wee terrier attacking a giraffe. By the time you're 60, the only way you'll be able to satisfy an 18-year-old girl will be if an 18-year-old guy uses you as a strap-on. I'm not even into young women. Even if I could get an 18-year-old to suck my cock, she'd be fucking texting someone while she was doing it. How do you spell oh? Feels like he's got cancer. I feel sorry for young people, man. All these stupid subjects they make them study. Sports science. Sport and science are two different things. That's why Stephen Hawking, brilliant scientist, always last picked for the football team. Although he is a very good dribbler. How you doing, big fella? You look fairly normal for one of my shows. Look at the rest of it, it's like the fucking cantina scene from Star Wars. What do you do, man?
I'm a physio.
You're a physio? Did you meet your good lady in your professional capacity? No? How did you meet?
Actually went to the same gym together.
You went to the same gym together, you sickening pair of fuckers. Yes, look at us both with our beautiful fucking bodies. We met in the gym. Maybe if you went down the gym occasionally, Frankie, you could get a fucking woman like this. But no, unless a woman crawls in your fucking window while you're looking at porn, you're not going to get a fucking woman like this. I've realised that I've just unleashed some hidden bitterness there. This a moustache, sir? Where are you from?
Croydon.
Where?
Croydon.
Croydon? I didn't realise they were making porn movies in Croydon. Like a pornographic version of one of the Chuckle Brothers there. To me, to you. See, Gordon Brown's announced his big new thing. Says he wants to make children stay at school till they're 18. That's just not living in the modern world, is it? 17-year-olds when they go to school. Who's going to pick their kids up from primary? Looks terrible, Brown, doesn't he? It looks like a sad face that somebody's drawn onto their scrotum. Says he wants to bring in super asbos. That sounds too cool, doesn't it? Teenagers will want those. They should call them gaybos or bender badges. Still wants to bring in ID cards with retina scans and 49 items of information. ID cards won't stop your identity being stolen. Just means that once it's stolen, you're fucked. I've left my wallet in the hotel. I'm going to need new eyeballs and a finger transplant. And that was too much, but the rape was okay. That seems interesting. Interesting to see where your line is in this audience. Tell you what I saw the other day, a petition against ID cards. Yes, we've decided the government wants to hold too much personal information on us, so we're going to send them a list of our names and addresses. Do you know Brown has said that we need a national debate about whether Margaret Thatcher gets a state funeral? The only debate most people are having is whether or not she needs to be dead before we bury her. Give her a Viking funeral on a scale model of the Belgrano. Do you know Brown has seriously said? He said he wants listening devices put into lampposts to fight terrorism. Is that how terrorists work? Is it? Come over here. We'll discuss our evil plans in this brightly lit area. Do you reckon George Bush actually knows who Gordon Brown is? He probably thinks Tony Blair's put on weight and had a fucking stroke. Bush says when he retires he's going to make his living from speaking. Play to your strengths, eh, George? That's like Abu Hamza having a career doing shadow puppets. Did you see that survey they did in America? Said that Osama bin Laden is now more famous than Michael Jackson. And you think, yeah, but he puts a lot less effort into his videos, doesn't he? Poor old Michael Jackson, he's got to live out the life of a Scooby-Doo villain, hanging around an abandoned fun fair wearing a plastic face. Those pesky kids! British Army have got a big recruiting drive on in Scotland at the minute. Because that's what you need if you're fighting an unwinnable war in the desert. More ginger people. Is that a wee boo from a ginger? I'll get the house lights put up and you'll fry like a fucking vampire. I watched the footage of Saddam being executed. And it really made me think, you know? It made me think, is there nothing on the internet that I won't masturbate to? I mean, not just the fact that they hung him, but that they put it on YouTube. That was disgusting. I only gave it 2 stars. Got to bring it home to you as a great dictator when your death gets less hits than a fat Korean boy body popping. Anyone else like to see hostages in videos being a bit cheekier? Some guy who's about to get his head chopped off with a sword, turning around and going, "Short back and sides, please, big man." The Americans want to build a big tower on the site of September the 11th. Freedom Tower, they're going to call it. But now apparently they're worried and they're looking at ways of trying to make it terrorist-proof. I think they should have just built a giant fucking mosque. No one's going to fly into that, are they? Or even better, a runway. How galling would it be to hijack a plane and then come in and make a fucking textbook landing? We've got Barack Obama standing for president now. Pretty much the worst name that you could have in American politics, Obama. Halfway between Osama and Aboma. He might as well be called Muslimo Gunbomb. There's a lot of scaremongering in politics, isn't it? Did you see that thing recently? They said North Korea have missiles that can hit America. The bit of America that their missiles can hit is Alaska. Who's going to nuke the fucking Eskimos? You could take out one of their cities with a 3-bar fire and a bag of salt. I tell you a classic piece of scaremongering. That thing where they check your shoes at the airport, because that guy, the shoe bomber, he wasn't even a terrorist, was he? He was just like a mad fucknugget. His plan was to put explosives in his shoes and then set fire to his shoes. As an act of terrorism, that's one step up from clutching a stick of dynamite between your arse cheeks and eating a curry. Did you see that guy they jailed the other month? Osama bin Laden? Is that the stage it's got to? Fucking tribute acts? And the Sun, without irony, described this guy as Abu Hamza's right-hand man. See, people think the Middle East is a very complex question, don't they? I've got an analogy that I think sums it up quite well. If you imagine that Palestine is a big cake, it's one big cake. Well, that cake is being punched to pieces by a very angry Jew. The Jewish leader Ariel Sharon is still in a coma. People say that Ariel Sharon achieved nothing, but actually, he's just won Weight Watcher of the Year. Well done to him. How you doing, fella? What's your story? What, that was just a sudden mime. Yeah. My story is about this, Frankie. That's how I got this girl. Look at this. What do you do, man?
Graphic designer.
You're a graphic designer? Surprisingly camp job for a straight man. And what have you been graphically designing this week?
Corporate events.
Corporate events?
CD-ROMs.
Is the whole audience tonight a sort of evil night out? Fucking Darth Vader's up the back going, I knew not to sit at the front. I knew he would pick on me. Do you all just get a bus together paid for by fucking former Nazis hiding in Chile or something? Come on, it'll be great. We need a laugh after a hard day of killing children. And what do you design for these corporations, man?
CD-ROMs and filter screens for that.
CD-ROMs about their business, promotional business materials. Do you ever go home and just think, I could stick my head in the oven and make the world a much better place? What do you do, pal?
I work at a livestock market.
You work at a livestock market?
Yeah.
Have you quantum leaped here from 1892? Ziggy says there's a 90% chance we shouldn't sit down in the front, he'll take the piss. What a wonderfully Dickensian job you've got. So what do you do with the livestock after you've fucked it? Fantastic. Have you ever killed anything?
No, not there.
Not yet. That's a fucking sinister answer. That's generally not the way you want to respond to that question on a date, by the way. What are your ambitions? Well, I've not killed anything yet. So what else has been happening? I found that wee lassie, Shannon Matthews. Just goes to show you what I always say. The ugly ones always turn up alive. Did you see her mum? The 2 weeks that she spent living in a drawer under a bed was probably the happiest time of her fucking life. I found that children's TV presenter, Mark Spate. Apparently his suicide note was amazing. He'd done it all in seashells and glitter. Scottish people aren't that friendly, are they? I once saw an English guy in Yes, we are, you liar. Can you not see how you're undermining your own argument there? I think we're a bit unfriendly. Shut up, you cunts! I once saw an English guy in Glasgow trying to order a pint of lager and lime, and the barman went, "We don't do cocktails." They've got a good thing at Scottish football games now at Hampden, where you're not allowed to bring food into the ground, and they actually search you when you're going in to make sure you've not got food on you. It's nice to see we've got our fucking priorities right, isn't it? What's this sort of knife? I hope you weren't planning on making sandwiches. Now you got a Scottish guy as the #1 British tennis player. I've not checked my Nostradamus, but isn't that one of the harbingers of the apocalypse? The only time I'd previously seen a Scottish guy playing tennis, it was someone playing charades, attempting to mime the word homosexual. So what do you do, Paisley fella? Has he passed out from drugs already? It's a fucking great show. I OD'd after 10 minutes. Spent 2 hours in casualty being punched in the heart. What a fucking weekend. Where are you, fella? Hey. Oh, you're a fucking scary looking motherfucker. Yeah, I know he's probably nice to you, but he is one terrifying fucking dude, man. What are you doing down here?
I do special effects for the computer games and shit like that.
You do special effects for computer games and shit like that? Look at what you could have made of your life! You could be a guy who looks like he's fucking just jumped out of Grand Theft Auto, snared himself some fucking beautiful women in a cool job, man! If you weren't so busy sucking the devil's fucking cock! Saw a great thing recently. Said scientists are going to start treating alcoholism with LSD. That's going to make tramps very different people. Any spare change, pal? I've got a unicorn to feed. Apparently, scientists have come up with a condom for premature ejaculation. And basically, it's got an anaesthetic in the lining and it makes you numb. You can last for longer. Or you can wear it inside out and you don't have to wake anybody up. Viagra's overrated, isn't it? Viagra takes half an hour to have any effect. I often find that in that time, the woman has managed to wriggle free. Science isn't all progress, is it? What was wrong with train toilet doors that just locked? Remember that? Instead of this fucking multiple choice system. So now, if anything goes wrong, you're going to be sitting there while the whole fucking toilet wall slowly slides away. And you're unveiled like a fucking prize on a quiz show. For 500 points, you could win a shitting woman. You seen they're building the world's biggest super collider in Switzerland? Now, it's quite exciting. They're trying to work out the building blocks of protons. They're trying to recreate the conditions of the Big Bang. I think it'd be good if when we worked that out, the whole of our reality dissolved and a big sign came up that said, Level 2. Science isn't all progress, man. Did you see the Mars probe? Yeah, that's what our society needs. More pictures of fuck all. Okay, oh, we've had a probe which has successfully crash-landed onto Mars. To me, it's not successful if it's crashed. That's a bit like saying that you've swum the channel because your corpse gets washed up on a beach. You heard that science thing, that the human female has exactly the same pheromone scent as an orangutan female. Do you know that? It was news to me. I'll never wear a blindfold again. They told me she was a Geordie. Ever heard that science thing that if you put a frog into boiling water, it'll jump out? But if you put it into cold water, you heat the water up, the frog won't realise, and it'll die. Or to put it another way, scientists have got a lot of fucking time in their hands. So if I go at curing cancer? No. I'm going to see how many fruit pastels it takes to choke a kestrel. Tell you the TV show I'd love to see. CSI Glasgow. Well, we've done some preliminary tests and it looks like the intruder definitely did a jobby on the carpets. We're looking for a young man with a poor diet because the jobby's got a whamba and an old 50 pence stuck in it. Some guy trying to draw a chalk outline round a jobby. Knew I should have stuck to making corporate CD-ROMs. I always say that if I had to explain Glasgow to a stranger, I'd say that if I had to pick a city in the world where I could depend on a member of the public to punch a man who was on fire. To punch a flaming man to the ground. We should get a photo of that blown up and use it as the welcome sign at Scottish airports. And underneath we should have the words, Scotland welcomes careful drivers. I mean, the naivety of Al-Qaeda trying to bring religious war to Glasgow. We're 400 years ahead of you guys. You don't even have a football team. There's a fallacy, isn't there, that baggage handler prevented hundreds of people from being horribly burned. These were Scottish people who were flying to Spain. People say it's good they didn't hit the fuel depot. I think it's good they didn't hit the queue coming out of duty free. Going up like fucking Hiroshima. One of the guys was so badly burned that his mobile phone melted into his body. I thought that as part of his punishment they should have changed his ringtone to Disco Inferno. He's looking forward to the Olympics in London? No! You're really not looking forward to the Olympics? Were you touched up by a relay team? In many ways, do you not think London is a bit of a strange choice for the Olympics? A city where any black man who starts running gets shot dead by the police. That guy they shot in the tube, right, clearly it was horrendous and everything. But if the policeman had done it, just been a bit quicker thinking, he could have had a bit of a laugh with it. He could have stood up and gone, "Any more tickets, please?" They say the Olympics is going to rekindle English national pride. I mean, come on, for 9.2 billion, you could have written "fuck off Germany" onto the moon. like their logo. I wouldn't have thought of throwing a paraplegic off a car park. It's good they're holding the Olympics in the East End of London, isn't it? Means the athletes will have to use extra skill to work out which of the gunshots they heard was the starting pistol. Glasgow, of course, has got the Commonwealth Games. Be good to finally see an international athletics event where the crowd fail a drugs test. The East End of Glasgow is already like an Olympic village. Lots of people who struggle to speak English wandering about in tracksuits. I'm looking forward to our opening ceremony. Seeing them lighting that torch from a smouldering Ford Focus. Did you see Gordon Brown when the torch came through London with the Chinese and they got to number 10 and barged Gordon Brown out of the way? He's the only Scottish guy in the world that would have stood for it. Any other Scottish guy would open the door to number 10 in his pants, looked at the ambassador with the torch and gone, "What the fuck's this, pal? I ordered chicken and black bean sauce." Alistair Darling, I can't trust him either. I can't trust anyone whose hair and eyebrows don't match. I keep wondering what his pubes look like. I wouldn't be surprised if he opened his flies and it was a fucking bunch of daffodils. He looks tired as well, darling, but then he does have to commute in from Tracy Island. They talk about the economy being fucked and there's going to be food prices going up. We're okay. How bad would food prices have to get before we couldn't shop at Lidl? I once did my entire weekly shop at Lidl in exchange for an amulet made from cat's teeth. No matter how much we hate politicians, we always hate local politicians more, don't we? See that guy in New York that shot the district councillor? Over here, he'd have been a fucking local hero. People would have been coming up to him as he came at the offices with a rifle going, "Excuse me, mate, did you mention the wheelie bins?" Scotland always has the grimmest local stories. Do you see that head found on a beach in Arbroath? They found a head on a beach and it was children that found it. So the terrible thing was, there'll have definitely been a point when they thought that was someone buried up to their neck in the sand. And then the next day all the limbs got washed ashore in a suitcase. The people of Arbroath were in shock. They'd never seen a suitcase before. Do you remember years ago when they were making Braveheart? Everyone said, "It's ridiculous. Mel Gibson playing a Scottish guy. That's not going to be very convincing." And look at him now. An alcoholic racist. The most Scottish thing I've ever seen, I was going through a town called Bathgate at night, and there was a guy pissing against the front door, like that. He then took out his keys and went inside.